position. I'm sort of a little bit puzzled as I was sort of listening to you. So on the one hand, you're limiting the number of topics to a finite number, so this is kind of a design constraint of sorts.
That's right.
To get sort of a critical mass.
Yep.
The flip side is that if you are in fact only interested in 3 topics, it's not that hard to find, boards that address 3 topics. It's if your interests are kind of more eclectic and you're trying to, listen in on, a lot more conversations than a couple, is where an aggregation play sort of makes a lot of intuitive sense. How do you think about these things?
It's a great question. So the limiting of the number of topics you can be a part of was a product decision we made for quality. On many platforms, people can, in a free-flowing nature, participate in any conversation, and often it results that plus anonymous behavior, like not using a real identity, creates very poor conversations over time. In doing that in Bunch, we've created an atmosphere which our users describe as the friendliest and most educational place to have a discussion on the internet. Obviously, it does create, like you said, some maybe growth challenges, and people can't come on and like 1,000 things because the average user likes about 1,000 things on Facebook. But I just fundamentally don't believe someone's interested to read nor participate in as many things that they might like. I think discussions by nature are a higher friction activity, and that's why we decided to create the product in that way. If someone is really only interested in one particular topic, they probably can go find the discussion board for that. My argument is I don't believe the future of the internet looks like that. I think we're ready for something new, and the reason we haven't seen valuable discussions unlock themselves, like Facebook unlocked friend relationships and like LinkedIn unlocked professional relationships, we haven't been given the platform and the UI that my mom loves, and I want to do that.
Matthew, please. Question or feedback?
Yeah, so my last comment was more on the content. This is going to be about form.
Yep.
By the way, we have Monitor Shared Heritage. I used to run the West Coast and be...
Oh, nice. I didn't get to fit in that point, but thanks for noticing.
You started really badly. I mean, if I were to say it again, you said, I lost my passport, I lost my PC, my presentation's a piece of crap, I can't get the technology to work, and you're killing me. And I don't know what other people's minds were doing. Mine was basically going in exactly the wrong direction.
Sure.
And you did that.
Okay.
You did it because you shared things that are important to you that have nothing to do with what you're trying to do here today. And I echo Paul's points. I mean, we, as investors, we have a set of objections in our minds. If in the first 30 seconds you can address those objections, you'll get attention. So, a great team, great opportunity, unique differentiated approach, can make money, already making money, getting traction, have a view of how we're going to make money here, how we're going to exit, here's the deal for you. Whatever those 5 or 6 things are, that's the only thing to talk about in your first 30 seconds. And I was sitting here thinking, not good things, Andrew.
Yeah.
So I'll fall on the sword
for Andrew for that. I said you could have an extra 30 seconds to talk about that because I thought he made a remarkable comeback. So two ways to look at it.
He killed you.
I take responsibility. Eric.
Thanks for the feedback, though. Appreciate it.
All right, let me give you a little hybrid of feedback and a question. And this really sort of picks up on Victor's comment or question. If I don't know how many people are really sort of core users of forums. My personal experience is that I often find information that I want on forums that I have really no other participation in. But I read them. If I want to figure out some obscure piece of information like, a part for my motorcycle or, things like that, right? Deep dive information. Forums are great. Threaded conversations, lots of replies to a single question, surfing through a variety of topics, very useful for me. Yeah. Better than, for instance, Quora or something like that, and certainly better than LinkedIn or Facebook or your typical social network. So I don't really understand the utility of this for me as somebody who would use it if I don't have a core passion around 3 topics. And if I'm limited to those 3 topics, then it isn't clear to me what the utility is unless I am a super fan or a core user on one of these topics. Can you, I know you sort of answered it on Victor's question. Can you touch on that again?
Yeah.
What's your market here?
Cool. It's a great question. There's really two sets of users. One is the power user who creates all the content. They're typically people who are uber passionate about topic X, whether it's politics, knitting, or craft beer. On the other side, you have people who don't really want to participate as in contribute to the conversation, but they're more like a subscriber. So we're building out a feature where we let people subscribe to a bunches, if you will, but we don't let them contribute. So really with the limiting factor, we're trying to take control over who can input in the system to keep it quality. But if you're just a passive lurker, whether it's, you want to find out what's going, you want one stream of craft beer conversations on an ongoing basis, we can provide that to you. Or if you're a one-time user with that motorcycle question, we want to allow you to find that piece of information you need. It's just a different product experience, and we kind of limit you from participating if you don't self-identify yourself as passionate about topic X. So it's a bit of a two-user scenario.
Okay, Alan, if you guys, Paul, if you pass the mic down to Alan, please.
I think this is cool. I think that the 3-topic design constraint is genius. But I wasn't sure if you showed us any screenshots.
There was 2 mobile shots on the.
Okay, so it is mobile first. Then.
Yeah, it's mobile first.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And it's not like that browser.
We do have a basic web product.
Okay.
It is a mobile first product.
All right, interesting.
I'd love to show you a demo after.
Paul.
So I'm going to give you some Hello. I'm going to give you some feedback first, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And I'm going to build off what Matthew said. And this is not just for you. This is for anybody in the audience that's going to be pitching either here or some other place. I believe that slides are a huge distraction for good entrepreneurs that are talking from their heart and their head.
Paul, hold the mic a little closer.
Sure.
You don't need a slide presentation to get me excited as an investor.
Yeah.
Okay? You should be able to stand up here and in 2 minutes get me frothing at the mouth and hand you a business card.
Yep.
So you don't need slides. Don't fall back on slides. Slides were, I hate the day the PowerPoint was invented because it took away from the personality. I invest in the jockey, I don't invest in the horse.
Right.
Okay? That's the feedback. Does anybody else pay attention to that? It's important. Then I got some questions. You talked about the fact that you had a previous company called Bandpage.
Yeah. I was planning
And
to
raised
remember
$2.5
that.
million.
Yes.
What happened to the company?
We raised another 20 million. Still very successful. It's a team of 35. I decided to leave Bandpage to do this. I moved back to Canada. I guess it was the end of 2010, early 2011, and started Bunch. I'm still a shareholder in the company.
Okay, so go back to what I just said about the jockey versus the horse.
Yes.
The fact that you already started a previous company and that was very successful, you raised a lot of money and the company's doing well, you gotta tell me about that.
Right.
Because that raises your credibility from just amongst the crowd to somebody who's done this before. So make sure you don't miss on that, okay?
And the guy who led the round is involved in our company.
Cool.
So.
You talked about your revenue and you said your revenue is gonna come from target ads and from subscriptions. What's the split on that gonna be?
It's a good question. So I think the really profitable revenue, will come from subscriptions. I think that will be a long-term play. Like LinkedIn couldn't have launched with an ability for me to search and find people by topics. So that's, I think that's a 5-year plan.
That's the right answer, because there's so many people out there today that are using ads as the way they're gonna make money. I mean, that line is miles long.
Yeah, and I think that's something we can turn on within the next 2 years, but I don't think it's going to be a big part of the business.
My last question is, you're gonna raise $3 to $5 million. Who's your target investor?
A target investor is someone who understands the social space. I think it's an overused term, so I want to say what that means. I think it's someone who understands the growth trajectory and what it means to grow a scalable social product. So users who aren't necessarily paying for a product day one, and also a company who's focused around retention metrics and how to drive, people to come back to the product.
Okay, so my feedback to you is this: if you're looking to raise that much money, you need to think about whether this is going to be an angel fund or this is going to be a VC fund. And you need to target your presentation to those audiences.
Yeah.
Now, those audiences aren't the same. Those audience have different expectations. Okay.
Thank you.
Nilesh?
Yeah, I'm just gonna give you a quick, actually a question. I had a hard time understanding what your product is.
Hold the
Okay.
mic a little closer.
What your product is.
Okay.
But I got it along the way. So
Sorry.
that was one feedback that
Thank
we
you.
kept talking about platform, but platform could mean gazillion things to gazillion number of people here. So that's one thing. I want you to be careful about showing me what the product really is.
Okay.
Instead of me trying to guess what it is. Second thing is, you also talked a lot about the future, right? It's hard for us as investors to, yeah, the future is great, but it's unpredictable. You've never really showed me what your present looks like. And so I don't really know where you are today in your product life cycle. So, I would appreciate if you told us about where you currently are,
Okay.
why you are, doing great, not doing great, whatever the heck it is, right? And just being, sort of, just share that.
Would you like me to answer that, or is it just
Yeah, sure.
feedback? Okay. So today, we've raised seed funding. We're a team of 7. We have a quietly launched product, which we haven't told anybody about. We have 25,000 downloads. We have a very active user base of power users, mostly soccer moms. And I'm trying to understand, I'm on phone calls with them every other week, trying to understand why they keep coming back to the product and making sure I can deliver that experience to other users in the first session. So that's where we are as a company. Our major growth is coming from our team's experience, including mine, in building on top of Facebook and other social distribution platforms like Tumblr. So we have content strategies where we distribute our content, our users' content as well as ours through other networks, and that's where we get a lot of our signups.
Okay. You guys want to think about your votes?